Yeah. Hey everyone, and welcome to what should be the final video for the first Doctor. For those of you who may remember, a couple of months back I got William Hartnell's biography, Who's There? The Life and Career of William Hartnell. I recently finished it, and well, I guess now is as good a time as any to talk about it. Really quick. It's the biography of, Mr. Hartnell, from childhood, his teen years, regular life, into adulthood, until, the end of his career, and, yeah. And first off, I have to say, reading the story that his granddaughter, Jessica Carney, puts together, he's a lot more interesting and fascinating than I would have guessed. He had something of an interesting childhood. He never really knew his father, and for the most part, he lived, on a farm with his aunt. He was very much into horse riding. And apparently, he liked to bet on horses too, later on in life, of course. He was rough around the edges, and then once his career got going, more or less, I would say, he was typecast a lot, as a stern general, a policeman, or, just a mobster, gangster, tough guy. He met Heather, he fell in love, and he got to become the iconic character that is Doctor Who, and started something amazing. Something that 50 years later people can talk about, or 60, 70. Who knows how far this is going to go, but I felt obligated to read the autobiography. Bit of a spoiler for you guys, but if you're looking for just Doctor Who stuff, honestly, it's just the last two chapters. A true original Doctor Who takes off, and Doctor Who bows out. The rest, is basically, the first chapter was, Jessica's perspective as the granddaughter, going to her grandparents' house, seeing all the different things, playing around, Let's see, chapter 2 was early life, childhood, teen years, and then about chapter 4 is where his, career in theater starts to take off, really. And it also talks about some of his relationship with Heather. Then chapters 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, it's just a lot of his career stuff and some personal things as well. I learned quite a bit about Mr. Hartnell. I would say for the most part good. Well, there are a couple of things that not as good in my opinion, but not here to judge, and it's not like he was the devil. But yeah, so if you're a fan of, actors, well, old school actors, definitely check out Mr. Hartnell's his biography. Gotta stop using auto. But, yeah. And if you're just a hardcore Doctor Who fan, honestly, like I said, it's just the last couple chapters, so you can probably something more focused on Doctor Who, I feel like. But I'm glad I read it. And now my final thoughts just on Mr. Hartnell, so I can hopefully move forward now. He was a pretty cool guy. He mentored the the characters who would essentially be, his granddaughter, the actress who played Susan, and then the girl who played Vicky later on to replace Susan. As well as the gentleman who played Stephen. Like, he was kind of, a mentor and did what he could for those characters, because they were a bit younger. Ian and Barbara and some of the other characters that were a bit older and more mature, he didn't have to as much. But I think it was cool that, you know, he could be that tough guy, sergeant character, or, you know, a crook or whatever. But he could also, you know, be kind and caring, you know, and crack a joke or two. Like, I didn't know much about his comedy career, but I've read some interesting things. And I think it's awesome to have such range. I'm not going to talk about my acting range, because I think we've seen it for the most part, but yeah. You know, I'm glad I got treated up on Mr. Hartnell's story, and I definitely feel like he was a good starting point for the Doctor. And that if they'd picked somebody else, I think things would be a lot different. Hell, I'm not even sure we would be talking about Doctor Who 50 years later. You know, so again, like I said probably a million times, Mr. Hartnell, thank you for your hard work. You know, you did good as the Doctor. You did good, you know, by your children and your grandchildren, and I hope you're resting well, at least at this point. And I hope you can appreciate what you started and what you've created. You've done something not many can do, and that should be celebrated, I feel. And so, with that said, everyone, I'm finally done with the adventures of the first Doctor. However, you know, as the Doctor, I have to press on. There are many more adventures to be had, more stories to tell, and characters to investigate. So, with that said, everyone, have fun, stay safe, keep hydrated, and remember, every character has a story to tell. I'm Valiant Bradley James, the character investigator.